Hello, welcome to Inner Fetish. I'm your host, Zeos Pantera, and I'm currently listening to the awful Performer 5s, which I just started my phone, and the interference it's getting, I haven't heard that shit in fucking years. Holy crap. All right, we're going to put you way over here now. I haven't had to restart my phone in a bit. And I'm just like, all right, I'll do it. Anyway, I'm listening to the Awful Performer 5s, which is an awful name. And you'll see that since I'm going to be reviewing the Awful Performer 8s, they've removed not only the word awful from the front and the top, but they've moved it only to the bottom, although it is much larger. So we're going to get to the 8s in a second. I just wanted to refresh my memory on the 5s, because I really like the Awful Performer 5s. Let's just call them Performer 5s. What do you think? That's a better marketing decision? I agree. Their piece de resistance was that they have a very complicated crossover network. So it's called the Performer 5 because it has a single dynamic and 4 BAs. So the way it's doing the crossover, it is not just a simple like resistor between the two. It actually had components. There was a picture of it like with the top pulled off, and there's an actual green circuit board with all the components on it. And when you plug it in and listen to it, and I haven't listened to it since the review of the original Performer 5, you can definitely tell that all the frequencies start and stop where they're supposed to. There's no bloat, there's no cross, there's no like overlapping that hurts. It's a very clean presentation of sound. It sounds like you listen to a proper speaker. And I think they're relatively popular. And that low end, though. So now I have to stop the camera, and I got to swap over to the Performer 8. And I brought out a couple different tips because I don't really like the tips it comes with. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you the cost, because they told me when they sent these to me, because right now they're at $99 on HiFiGo. They're going to be $379, under $400. And everyone's assuming they're going to be over 5 because it's the big one. This is the flagship. And it uses a similar RLC net frequency division technology, or RCL, I should say, but now with 8. So a single dynamic and 7 balanced armatures. And as of the recording of this section, I've not heard it yet. I really wanted to get back into the 5's headspace because I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I could hear all the things they're doing, but it isn't speaking to me. It isn't like the greatest. It's not like a $1,000 single dynamic that just somehow flows. This was a test bench to say, hey, this tech will work. We've got all sorts of weird 3D printed balance technology and micro resonator, all these techs. And I agree with them, and they worked. And especially for $200, it was like, this is an amazing deal. Let's find out if the Performer 8 goes beyond into something that is actually, well, do I love it? Let's find out. Oh, that's certainly a first. So I've made it a tradition now to go through a couple different tips. We started on Deconi's, like I reviewed the Performer 5s on, and then I swapped to the render tips, which are the ones that come with my Rinko collab, which are the foam-filled silicone, which usually like trap the bass and make it like extreme. And then I switched to the Sednafit X-Elastics, which are a very, very sticky but lightweight silicone. They're all within 10% of each other. That's literally never happens. Like, it's usually you put one on and it's like, that's too much depth. That's too deep, too much bass. And you put one on, it's like, oh my God, I can't. There's no mid-range. And you put the other one on, it's like, oh, it's got no bass. And it's not the case with the Performer 8s. I don't know how. I've done this a lot, and usually it's like something massive changes. But I would accept the Performer 8s and what they're doing to my ear holes right now on any of these tips. They're a little bit more bass light, which I'd probably have to listen for another like 45 minutes to an hour to get used to it. But they're a little more bass light with the Sednafits. But like the clarity, like there's an attack quality to music. Like how hard it's trying real hard to like AC/DC, Goodbye and Good Riddance to Bad Luck is like screaming at you. And I hear details that I could tell there's just one driver. One of the fucking 8 drivers is just the murder treble driver. And you see it. You can see it in your mind's eye, that one little fuck in each side. And it's in your ears, and you're like, oh, this is going to hurt. And it never does. Crossover network. That's why I had it. Excuse me, ma'am. I need to. There's your crossover network. There's your connector, some BAs, the wires that go down. There's a DD in here somewhere. Here's what it looks like alone. That is a full circuit board inside this thing. Zoom it out, please. Like, what is... It's got a mid-range acoustic tube that's 10 millimeters long. It's got a mid-bass acoustic tube that's 46 millimeters long, and it's got an ultra-long and ultra-thin bass tube. It's got a 62 millimeter tube from the dynamic to where the ear hole is, to the stem, 62 millimeters. This feels like a joke. It's all 3D printed, so they could make this in, like, space. But, like, the holes that the sound comes out of, that's an actual 62 millimeters. That's a fucking computer fan. That means curled up in here is a little tube that goes whoop, and it goes wiggly, 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 all the way home. And the only reason you would do that is you're not like tuning the sound with that way. You're tuning the delay. They're actively delaying. Like, if you ever seen audiophile speakers that are tilted back, but not like a little bit, like a lot, so that the tweeter is farther away than the mid-range and low end, because the frequencies are going to be so much faster out of the tweeter versus the big whomping. So if the sound has to use both to get to the match, it usually takes a little bit of time delay. That's what they're doing, and it's a very little bit of time delay. It's this much time delay. Speed of sound is what, 700 something miles an hour. So let me get my car and. But it's not lacking in anything. Like, you would think if you told me that you have like an 8 driver, and by the way, one of the tubes is like that long, and the other one's like this long, and that everything would be fucked up. And nothing's fucked up. You have to excuse Roomba, by the way. Not Roomba. I don't use a Roomba. I use a Nito Bot Vac. I'm going to put back the Rinco tips, because I think I like those the best. Links to all the tips I usually throw around in the descriptions of these videos. So left side gets a medium, and right side gets a big old red large. There's actually no size difference from the original Performer 5. All right, I lied. It's maybe 15% wider on the face, like up here. But the actual body doesn't appear to have any more, like... If you didn't have them right next to each other and I said, here's the 5s, and the next day I said, here's the 8s, are they bigger? You wouldn't be able to tell. So they're still a very, very manageable size. They've got the divots in just the right spots for grabbing onto it. I usually don't like shiny plastic, but divot here for your finger, divot here, little wing that doesn't really bother. The wire, I kind of like the OG. The 5 one, because we had a 4-wire weave up to each IEM and then an 8-wire weave in the middle. Here we have a 2-wire twist up to each IEM and a much more bronze 4-wire weave to the main. It is still a 3.5 millimeter. I'm kind of tempted to swap it out for the Chimera cable. Hold on, I have to promote my Chimera cable. Come over here. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm kind of tempted to put it on the Chimera just to give it a balanced connection so I could try it on different amplifiers. But not like required. Like, I'm not like, oh, this doesn't sound right and I want to try something new to make it. No, it's perfectly fucking acceptable with this little 2-wire here. Let's plug them back in. Plug them back into my ear holes. Just the sound killing ability of the render ear tips, like it sounds like I'm wearing earmuffs now, helps you hear the details. And there are numerous details. And I've got a new amp on the desk if you haven't seen it. Here's a little Atom Plus Heavy. So if you're looking for a $100 American-made amplifier, or $115, the bass like creeps up. These are not a bass IM. You're not going to be like, oh my god, bass bruh. They're not Rinco. But they have like a confidence in the way they're producing the sound. That's like, hey, we are using science to make the sound as good as possible, even at this price. And $379 is not cheap, but if you're looking at an 8 driver with a single dynamic and then all this other tech they're trying to throw in there, it should be a $500 IM. And if it was, it would compete. It would be up there with Mangrid T2s and even maybe the Zens. It's so weird because usually when I listen to music, I don't pay attention to like the time delays between different frequencies. But I kind of have to because I'm reading things and I'm like, you know what? It is all happening sort of like in a staggered, coherent state. I'm listening to Glitch Mob right now, so it's not like it's audiophile, but it's audiophile. Drive It Like You Stole It. I want to just do this to it. I'm going to like... The fact that it doesn't hurt me with any of the treble I've heard, and I've heard some fucking treble. The fact that the bass can deliver through a nearly 3-inch tube and still come off as punchy and tight and controlled. And they look good. I mean, the upgrade from the little metal awful case to the much nicer leather one that has the word awful in black. It's much smaller. I think they kind of realized, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't have... Like, ask any English-speaking person, hey, should we call our company Awful? And they would have probably said, no. Unless you're actually awful. It's a shame that, what's his name there? That sells the earphones on the YouTube. Didn't think of calling his company Awful. Oh, I was banging Kim Kardashian. Oh, I'm not going to say names in case he sponsors me, because I'll do it. Oh. Yoshi Horikawa Fluid. Can you read? Yeah. There's just like this amazing... I guess I should talk about soundstage, because everything's happening thanks to those two... I want to pull these out of my ears so I can hear myself speak, which is rare. Thanks to those tubes and the timing and everything being like coherent, despite there being 8 things in each one of these, you get sort of this like side distance, which I don't want to call it soundstage, because usually soundstage is just everything sounds really wide or everything sounds really narrow. And like this song from Yoshi Horikawa, please go listen to it on Spotify. It's called Fluid. It's just drips and echoes and bounces, and some things are happening here, and then you hear something bounce, and it comes back. It's like, how is it doing that? Absolutely 100% worth the wait, because I heard about the 8s when I did the 5s. They're like, hold on, we're going to have 8s in a couple months. I guess it was worth the wait, because these are they're delivering. Everything that I thought maybe was lacking in the 5s, like that, like symmetry, like the real audiophile bullshit that everyone like, oh yeah, but how does the instrument blending? And I was like, the 5s do it okay. The 5s don't like. I don't want to make people listen to the 5s. It was not my thing. Like, I had the 5s. If someone came over and said, let me listen to a set of IEMs, I had about 12 others I would make them listen to first. I'd make them listen to the 8s. I can't think of a better praise for an IEM, is that if you came over here and you're like, how good can an IEM be? I'd plug in this $115 amplifier, and I'd give them these with the render tips, whatever size floats their boat or seals them nice and good, because you could just... That song is the song. Fluid is the song. It sold me on the awful Performer8s. Like, more than I was already in the previous 7 songs. It's just like there's an amazing awash of frequencies all happening at the same time. And you know what? I'm sure it measures absolutely terribly. Fuck measurements. I'm going to say that with every video if I have to. I actually don't know. It could measure great. They have measurement charts on here. I wouldn't know. I don't care. Yeah, there's a measurement graph. Look, it does a... Well, that's just showing you how a measurement works. But it actually isn't wrong. Like, it's showing you like, oh, here's the normal one where it's like all wiggly line, and here we have it much more level and compact and straight. I feel that in this. Resistance, capacitance, inductance, frequency division, correction technology uses a limited number of resistance and capacitance in a simple combination. You know what? Yeah. Fuck it. All you gotta know is science made good thing happen. Science make dance now. Performer8s. Kind of shocked these are under 4. But yet at the same time, they don't really come with a lot of accessories. You get the case. You get, here's the tips, by the way. I wanted to show you the awful selection of tips. Oh, it's just all silicones. You got some reds and blues, which I kind of like. But you also can't see that they're red and blue once you're on. And some very basic other ones. I would absolutely... You should have something like this. If you're a audiophile IEM person, you need your box of like, well, I've got spin fits and I've got the Rinko, the render tips, and I've got the Sedna fits, and I got some Taconis, and I got these guys up here, and I've got these guys are the SS Dunu ones, which I had to get more of those. I'm gonna have to order those like actually with money because they only came with the SA6 Mark IIs. But like, once you start playing around with this and realize that you can fine-tune things, or at least have ultimate comfort versus like just whatever comes in the box is fine, then you can unlock the potential of any IAM more. So yeah, full fucking reco for the 8s. I had my doubts they were gonna be this much better because I knew the price, and it's like, all right, you're making them $100 more, $125 more, whatever the hell it is more. But they should just stop selling the 5s. How's that? Stop selling the 5s, just sell the 8s, and then change the name of your company from awful to great, GR8, and then just we'll rock it from there. We'll rock it with our cocket. You know, the tube length thing is weirding me out though, because I could almost hear that it's just like it's traveling, but it travels and lines up and sounds amazing. So yeah, I'm going back to listen to these. You guys, Patreon, subscribe, start support this channel. Now I have a song from '86. Now I have a song from Planeteus. Now I have a song from Cybotron, which is a Grand Theft Auto track. Yeah, no, these are fucking, yeah. Check out my Patreon, subscribe, so thank you to the sponsor links in the description. Wallpaper in the Horde. Now, I don't know where this mouse pad came from, by the way, but I'll try to link it. It just showed up one day. I didn't order it. You know, fuck talking to you people. I need to listen. To that.